Good evening from my house where I'm hiding inside with the fan on full blast, which I'll turn off because it's probably annoying. Hopefully I survive while it's off. It's super hot outside. I actually spent all day in bed because I'm pretty sure on Sunday I managed to give myself heat stroke. Nothing too serious. I had a horrible headache. I completely lost my appetite. I had no energy at all. So I've basically just been spending the whole day in bed, and this is kind of the first time I've surfaced. So there's a lesson there. Don't work all day when it's like 38 degrees outside. I think that was a lesson I needed to hear. And so my July list, out the window. It's gone. It's not happening. I'm going to just take it easy. I'm definitely not working outside too much, and I'm just going to try to keep my garden alive. So what I thought I'd do in this video, instead of, powering through the work on my list, is take you on a tour of my water systems, and I'm definitely going to set up irrigation for my trees. Hopefully it works. If it doesn't work, I'm going to have to go into town and get something to make it work, because I'll be doing a lot of watering, and I really need that third tank in action, which will make sense when I take you on the tour. So let's go outside. Well, no, not now. Tomorrow morning, let's go outside and take a look. I'm going to turn this fan on full blast again, right at my face. And I'm just going to take it easy, and I'll see you tomorrow morning when we go work on some irrigation and talk about water systems. Yay! Good morning. I've been up since about 5, where I moved to my hammock to try to get a little extra sleep, but it didn't really work. Hammocks are not the most comfortable places for sleeping, I've learned. I feel way better than I did yesterday. I have energy. I'm hungry because I didn't eat much yesterday, so that's a good sign. I do feel like I'm getting a cold. I sound kind of stuffed up, perhaps. Hopefully that goes away, because that would be annoying. So I'm going to eat some breakfast and have some coffee, and then I'm going to take you on a tour around all of my water systems on my little piece of land. And then we're going to hopefully sort out some irrigation for the bottom terrace. So this, my friends, is quite terror-inducing. It gives me fear. I don't exactly know what's in there. I do know that everything I need to set up the irrigation should be in there. Scary. Okay, breakfast eaten, coffee drunk. In an attempt to try to beat the wind, I'm going to take you around the land first and then tackle the irrigation second. So let's start inside my house, and then we'll go from there. Won't you come to the gloomy corner of my shower to see how I bathe myself? This is the exit pipe for the shower water. It goes out there and then pops out the back of the house, and I'll show you where that comes out afterward. And in order to shower, I use this USB pump thing where I fill up a big pot of water, and then I drop the pump in it, and then you turn it on with that USB motor. And it works really well. I also have an exit pipe set up for my future bathroom sink, which obviously isn't in use, but eventually a sink will be hooked up to this, and it'll take the water to the same place as the shower goes. And then over here, there's more gloom and darkness, and this pipe here is going to be where my future kitchen sink attaches. So I don't use this for anything, but I do have it hooked up to a future gray water system, so I'll show you where that comes out and how that's supposed to eventually work. So the kitchen sink pipe pops out here, and this is the first sort of component of my gray water system. So the pipe goes under the bananas, underneath that gravel there, continues on, and then connects up here to a T-junction, which goes nowhere. This T-junction, though, in the other direction, goes to the exit for the shower and the bathroom sink. You can see that's the bathroom sink exit there. It hasn't been connected to anything. And beneath there, perhaps you can see there's piping for the shower. The shower and the bathroom sink, they are buried fairly shallow underneath this gravel. Much deeper is my French drain, and it spits out into a sort of pit that I dug and filled with gravel. And so currently any shower water that comes out just sort of pops out that pipe and sinks into the ground. I need to decide what I want to do for my grey water, whether I want it to steer in this direction, steer over towards the bananas, or divide into two and go to both places. I haven't thought that through too much, but I should give it more thought, especially once I actually get a sink hooked up. But for now, I think it's okay. So with much difficulty, quite early on, I installed these gutters to catch the rainwater. And the idea was that the water was supposed to go through that pipe into the tank, and then the overflow would then continue on to a tank below. The problem is that I think the overflow pipe was too small, so I never actually really overflowed anywhere except for at the top of the tank. So I tried a different solution with a larger pipe, but you can see my attachment thing is quite ridiculous. So I need to figure out how to attach a pipe like this to a pipe like that. And once I do, I have a pipe in place that takes the water down to the cistern. So it's not ideal, but at least I'm taking the water to a place where I can store it. Eventually, I'd like to attach gutters on the front of the house as well, and then have all the rainwater steered down the land, kind of cascading maybe through the tanks, and then dropping into the land somewhere a little bit more useful than next to the house. And so I really shouldn't go too far talking about my water systems without first talking about drinking water. It's the most important of all the water that I need. I get my drinking water from a fountain that's located very close to my house. So I pass by fairly regularly, fill up my 2 jugs with water from the fountain, and then return to my house and pour it into a stainless steel vessel that I then drink from. These fountains, they're known as fonts here in Portugal. They're really beautiful usually, and they're just sort of pipes that pop out in various places and have running water. Everyone in the area drinks water from these things. Some of them are better loved than others. You have people kind of having debates over which has the best water and things like that. But the one that's close to me is one with a good reputation, so I'm quite lucky, and that's my drinking water source. So this IBC tank next to my house is where I get all of the water that I use for the house. So if I'm having a shower, I'll fill it up from here, if I'm doing dishes, really anything like that. And the water comes in from this pipe here, which goes down to my water tank, my cistern, which I'll show you, and it just gets pumped up and then goes in the top. This tank is also where I water my top garden from. So the pipes that lead up to the top water tank by my house are these 2. The smaller one is the one that pumps the water into the tank, and this was my attempt at rainwater overflow. It all hooks up to here, and I think it's easier if I show you first the pump, and then we can go from there. So my water pump plugs into the house inside there. It's just a long extension cord. Probably not the most ideal way to do it, but it's how I'm doing it for now. And then I just bring that cord out and plug in the pump here. And so my water tank can use a bit of a topping up. So let's plug it in and I'll show you what happens. Okay, so here we have my submersible water pump, and it's taking water up this pipe. And where that goes depends on which taps are open. So right now, this tap is closed, this tap is closed, and this tap is open. So the water is currently going up to the top tank. I want water in this tank here because I think the level's only about half full. So I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to turn this guy off. And so now all the water will be going into this one, which I want to fill up. This is the tank I use to water my garden, and the garden is humongous and thirsty, so I need to keep this tank very full. These IBC tanks each hold 1,000 liters, and I have 3 of them, which has been pretty good. I think I need to get the 3rd one hooked up, which is what the irrigation is all about, so we're going to do that later. But first, let's fill these tanks. I'm going to get this one topped up, and I'll also get the one beside the house topped up. I don't have any fancy way of monitoring, except for just looking at what's happening. This sort of black stuff around it, it's basically just to keep the water from turning green. When the sun hits it, it makes it all algae-y and pretty gross. So if you cover it, it tends to be fine. Okay, so that'll do. This tank actually has a hole on the opposite side, which I was using as an overflow, so it can't be filled right up to the top. So I'll turn this tap on and this one off, and we can go visit the other tank. And so this one can get filled up right to the top, really. So I'll probably do that, leave the pump on, fill it up. We're about to have a week of 40+ degree weather, and I just want to keep my water completely topped up. But I can't actually fill any of these tanks if I don't have water in the cisterna, which is fed by a magical spring, a hole of mystery. So let's go down there and take a look at what happens down there, and see what the water level is like, and see if this tank's even going to fill up. So you can see there's about 10 centimeters of water left there that it can kind of suck up, but it starts to suck air and stop working at around that point. And I think it's bad for the pump for it to be sucking in air instead of water. So I'm going to go unplug the pump, stop pumping water up to the top tank, and then we can come back down and talk about what's happening in here. And so yeah, that actually filled quite a bit more quickly than I was expecting. So I'm happy with how much water I have going into this crazy spell of 40-degree+ weather. And so before I go down to the water cistern, let's talk about this third tap here. So this pipe runs to a water tank that's right there. And this water tank is the one that I want to hook up to the irrigation. I want to water my trees from a separate tank as the rest of my place. Currently I water my trees from this water tank, but it means that I can't really track how much I'm using. I'd rather just have more control over everything. And so this IBC tank is the one that I want to irrigate my trees from, and that's what we're gonna be trying to set up the irrigation on later on. But I designed this system so that all of these taps were in the same spot, so that I can easily fill one tank from the same location, rather than having to move around a whole bunch of different pipes and taps. I can see what's happening, I can see what's on, see what's off, and just do it all in the same place. Before we get down to the water tank, let's talk about this tank and where the water in here actually goes. So I have two taps. This one is just a regular garden hose. I use it to water part of my garden. This one is one of these black pipes, and it goes down to a tap that I installed that then has another hose installed on there, which allows me to water a second part of my garden. The reason I divided it up into two sections is because dragging a big long hose all across the garden is kind of a nightmare, and it often wants to go over your plants, and just not good. So I'd actually like to add a third tap in. Let's go look at that tap first, and then I'll talk more about the water tank. So it goes under this swampy mess and pops out over there. It's just kind of a temporary measure that it's sort of sitting on top of the ground. Basically also just to see if it worked and if it was in the right place. I'm happy with the location. I'll probably install it somewhere over here, and then I can hook a hose up and I can actually water all of this stuff very easily. And the water tank. What is happening here? I'm not 100% sure myself, if I'm honest with you. This is the water. This is my water source. It comes from this mysterious hole, but it flows continuously, which is pretty amazing. So these brick walls within the water tank weren't here when I bought the land. I built those, and the reason was, first of all, I wanted a splash pool. Secondly, I wanted to kind of partition the water off to be able to sort of keep the larger tank that I'm standing in separate from other water sources. But the problem is that I haven't actually finished rendering anything or waterproofing anything. So I don't really, I'm not able to hold water in that tank. And I've gotten to a point now where it's too hot in the summer to be able to continue working on concrete stuff, because I don't think concrete likes curing in the heat. So I'm kind of stuck where I'm at right now, but the water tank has had a lot of improvements done to it. You can see kind of where all those crisscrossy marks are. That's where I've put concrete to fill up these mega crazy holes. So the whole tank was probably leaking water out the bottom and out the sides. And so I think I've already noticed a big difference in how much water it holds. I definitely know there's a leak here because when I open this tank, there's a plug in there. When I open the plug, I can see water kind of bubbling out of this thing, and you can hear it. The problem is that whoever built this thing covered the whole thing in concrete. So all these pipes are basically covered in concrete all the way up to the tank. And so in order to fix this leak, I'm gonna have to bash all of the concrete out, figure out where the actual pipe is over there. I have no idea how deep it's buried. I have no idea how far the concrete goes. Bash it all out, but I have to first make sure that I have the correct pipes and fittings and that I know where I'm attaching it to down there. And so this is the plug that opens the water. I think it's a t-shirt on a hunk of wood. And then you can see that the water is just coming out of there whenever that's open. And so that pipe runs under here somewhere, hopefully not under the stairs that I'm standing on that my dad built, and then pops out over here in this very, very messy area. So when I do the irrigation, I'll be up next to this sad, crispy avocado tree. I'll hook up a pipe to this IBC tank. The pipe carries on down here, and I think I left it in a big coil down here where it's been neglected for quite some time. Yeah, stuff is overgrown. So this is going to be my irrigation pipe, but I'll come back to this later on. And as you can see, I could probably use a little bit of land maintenance down here. There must be so much water down here. I'm pretty sure that's another cistern, another hole of mystery. You can see that there's been a water tank built around it. It's very, very broken, but beneath there, there's actually another one of those little holes. And there's often a little layer of water in there as well. So that could be another water source in the future. But for now, it's just probably the scariest and most neglected part of my land. So I'll leave this plug open because I need this open in order to water my trees. And that's what we're gonna go do now. The land is basically plumbed with those big pipes on all of the terraces. There's one on this terrace and there's one down below as well. So I'm going to turn this on because I want to bring my avocado tree back to life. And I'm just going to leave it on the avocado for a little while, and hopefully he gets a little less crispy. Does not look happy. I'm sorry. But basically, as my system is set up now, I use this hose to water all of the trees on this terrace. And that comes directly from the water cistern. I'd like to change it so that instead it comes from the IBC tank. And so this is my last terrace, and this is the terrace I want to set the irrigation up on. So we're going into the forest of mint, which is quite a lovely smelling forest. And eventually we'll get to this tap. And I'm going to turn this on and give the other avocado tree a little drink as well. And if we come through the mint forest over here, we'll eventually get to my well, which is incredibly overgrown. And I hardly ever look inside of it because fortunately I don't actually need the water in there. So you can see it's quite green, and the water level basically stays the same. I think there's some leaky bits in this side, so it doesn't really come up too high. I don't use it, but it's good to know that it's there. So my system now for watering my trees is basically unplugging the cistern, turning on the tap, and then moving this hose around, which can take a really long time. I'm just going to give the avocado tree a drink so he doesn't end up looking like the other ones. So he's had enough to drink, and now I'm going to turn him off, turn off the other one, plug up the cistern, and get started on irrigation. Way! Okay, and then the tank will very slowly fill up to a level where the pump can then pump it up again, and the tanks remain full, And that's the idea. A little bit about this pump. You can see I've attached a screen with zip ties on there, and that's just to keep the scummy stuff out. This is a submersible pump. I had a different pump that was, I don't know what it would be called, just a regular pump, I suppose. And it would never prime. I just couldn't get it to work. It was really, really frustrating. When it worked, it was amazing. When it didn't, it really, it made me sad. And so this one just works all the time. So I'm all about the submersible pump. I'm a big fan. I think it's about 1100 or 1200 watts, and that pumps up, I think it says 8 meters, but it works fine. I'm really happy with it, and it's a definite improvement to the one I had first. So it's not even 8:30, and it's 30 degrees out there, so that's insane. I'm going to go down and try to lay out the large pipe, hook it up to the IBC tank, lay it out on the bottom terrace to see how far it stretches. So here we are. I need to hook this pipe up to there. It doesn't appear to be leaking, so that's good news. And I don't really know what's happening in here. I guess I gotta get in there and liberate the pipe from the greenery. So that's a bit annoying. I didn't buy enough pipe to stretch the length of this terrace. It only goes to my pear tree, and I wanted it to go all the way down to the very end. Weather update, it's 9:30, 31 degrees out there. Doesn't feel so bad in the shade, but it will feel bad very soon out here. I don't have enough 1-inch pipe to extend on the bottom terrace and put a tap in, so that's gonna have to wait until I go to a plumbing store. So my intention is to get all this stuff connected and working just on the length of pipe that I have down there. But I'm not gonna do that today. I'm gonna get up early and do that tomorrow morning. I've been watering a bit in the garden, harvesting some stuff, so I got a little distracted, and now it's probably too hot to be working down there. So though I could sit under here and try to figure all this stuff out, I think I'll still save this till tomorrow morning, because what I learned yesterday is that I should listen to my body. What's that, body? What are you saying to me? Sit in my hammock? Okay, so I'm gonna just sit in my hammock, I think, for the next little while. And all this stuff will be a tomorrow morning job. Even though I am quite interested to bust it all out now, because I forget what's involved and I'm quite curious, but I'll have to wait till tomorrow because my body says no. Hello from tomorrow. It's time to set up some irrigation. Maybe you can hear that I sound a little blocked up. I've got kind of a head cold situation happening right now. It's not too terrible, but I probably sound very strange. So apologies for that. I do plan to return to bed as soon as this is finished, but I really want to get it done. Welcome to my irrigation lab, where I figure out what the hell is happening. So no joke, I bought this stuff about 6 months ago, and it's basically been sitting in that bag since then, doing nothing. So my plan is to install one little length of irrigation on this pipe and get an idea of how it works. and then I'll take the operation down to the bottom terrace and install it. I'll probably just do one tendril of irrigation and one tap. The idea being that if the irrigation doesn't work, at least I can then plug the hose into the tap and I can access water from that third IBC tank rather than using my cisterna. I've done taps before. That part's going to be easy. Basically, you take the tap. Oh, damn it. There's always something. So somewhere I have, hopefully, a tap or a piece that fits this tap. I think I have an adapter. I hope I do. It would suck if I don't. But anyway, there you go. I'll have to consult the bag. So in theory, tap screws into this. This goes onto the pipe. And then you take this off. And this guy goes on. And this you can clip a hose onto very easily. So until I can find an adapter or the right piece, the tap's not going to work, but you get the idea. Okay, first I'm going to drink from my disturbingly brown smoothie. It's full of healthy things. So this is already frustrating. I think the thread on one of these inside plastic things isn't really catching properly. But I'm going to persevere and see how this all fits together before I take it down and hopefully try again successfully. So my guess is that these green guys go into the screwy, and then the pipe goes on here. So that's pretty straightforward. This thing makes the hole for this thing. I do not understand this tool, so I'm going to use my drill. Yeah. You know what? I don't think there's much point sitting up here doing it. I'm just gonna go down there. I'm gonna grab a new one of these because I think I screwed this one up. I think there's something wrong with the thread. And I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it on site. I have everything I need. I'm just gonna tackle this once and for all. But first I'm gonna drink some coffee and find the right attachment for that tap, which I hope I have. Surely I have it. Surely. This smoothie is not amazing. This is my buddy Mikey. I'm just cat sitting for a friend. Say hi, Mikey. Yeah. Hello. Okay, gotta get to work. So first things first, we have to cap the end of the pipe. Okay, done. Step one. Step two, add the thing that I think I broke up at the top. So I think I know what I did wrong. I think I should have put the bolts in the opposite direction. So I'm going to try that, and I'm going to also tighten them at an equal pace instead of one at a time. Hello. Hi. Okay. Oh. Okay, so that's on there pretty tight. The next thing would be drill a hole through here and then attach the screwy-on thing and then the pipe. Next, this guy goes in here. First I need to put some Teflon on. Screwy, screwy. Okay, that's positive. Yeah, so this will go over the top of the pipe. The pipe will fit on here. This screws on. So I'm gonna cut a length of pipe that reaches, I'm gonna try to reach down to my avocado tree actually, because that's the most important one. Okay, that'll do for now, I think. And the next thing is the nipple. So I brought the pipe back closer to the tap so I can drill a hole, turn the tap on, and see if it's actually giving it water. So let's see what happens. Hopefully water comes out of this little hole. Come on. Come on. Woo! Okay, that's a good sign. So we'll stick this little guy in here, and in theory, when the tap is turned on, the avocado tree should get a drink. Let's go see. Let's see what this does. Ah! Alright, so I think that's how it's supposed to work. So I'll go stick it by the avocado tree, and this is a very good sign. Okay, I am very happy. I think what I should be doing is putting several little red things around each tree so that it gets water sort of in maybe 3 different locations. But for now, I'm just happy to see this working. What do you think? Huh? What do you think? What do you think? And so now that I turn this guy off here, that turns off watering the trees. So in theory, once I get all this set up, a turn of the tap and I'll be watering my bottom terrace. So that was a pretty tough morning of work, even though it was short. I'm really happy everything went more or less to plan. But it was tough. I don't feel well. I'm excited to return to my bed, but I'm happy I pushed on and got it done. I know what else I need to buy to finish off the irrigation, and I'll set that up as soon as I can, because it's really going to change my life to have that terrace watered from that other tank. So yeah, I'm happy I pushed through the pain, but I'm gonna head back to bed, I think, because I'm all stuffed up and I think I do need to rest. And it's really hot now, so it's time to hide inside in front of the fan. And so I hope you enjoyed this video about water systems and irrigation. Maybe not the sexiest topic, but it probably is the most important thing. Having a water source on your land is definitely hugely important. I'm lucky that I have 2 sources. I have my cisterna with the hole of mystery, and then I've got a well at the bottom. And I just have systems that I've set up that are working really well now. It took me a little while to get to this point, but I'm mostly happy with how things are working. I still need to fix the tank and do some other improvements, irrigate my garden, and stuff like that. But it's a slow process, and I can only kind of add on to things as the budget allows. So yeah, step by step, I'll get there to a system that I think works really well. I have an idea in mind for how it should all work together, so I'm just always kind of working towards that goal. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Water systems, yay, amazing when they work, boo, bad when they don't. And so if you enjoyed this video, as always, please like and share and comment and all that stuff. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, and hopefully I'm not quite as sick as I am now. Hopefully I'm on the road to repair. So I'll see you next time, and thanks again for watching.